They're poking their heads out. The little chimneys are actually breather holes or chimneys from the termites that they probably modified, or they might just be using to hide. The rest of the colony I can see on the edge of a termite mound just off to my right. I might be in the way, but some of them sunning themselves. Others amongst a bunch of dead marulili branches. I guess they're foraging already. Good morning, children. Constantly alert, these little mongoose, all mongoose species, but particularly those that are communal. They have a very tight-knit family. There is only one breeding pair amongst the little colony. It's like the wild dog, in fact. An alpha male and an alpha female. There were some just on this termite mound, but I think it's time for them to, by the looks of things, to head off for the day. Doing their hunting, they forage for insects, they dig for grubs, for larvae, they'll catch lizards, they might even find small birds. Not very often though, not for dwarf mongoose. They're not as avid a bird hunter as, say, their slightly bigger cousins, the slender mongoose. Bird we can hear in the background is one of the black-collared barbets. Complaining about something. I heard from one of the viewers that we have elephants on the Arathusa camera, or had, and that they've moved off. So we are on our way. I had to kind of give up on the ellies that we were seeing this morning, because they're all, I can hear them, and they are not moving very fast. They're all deep in that block between Vuyatela Access Road and Aubrey's Road and Gallagher Shortcut. If we take a drive over to Arathusa, come back this way, we might find they might have moved out of that block into a more accessible area. But maybe we'll go look for other ellies and other things while we're at it. Amazing thing. interesting because the mongoose that feeds the most, the mongoose that can eat more in a shorter period of time, can spend more time looking out for danger, and so can be an asset to a small colony by protecting them from predators. The mongoose that doesn't produce too much food or doesn't catch too much food has got to spend more time foraging and has then less chance of seeing danger, or has less chance of becoming very efficient, I suppose would be the word. You've got to rely on the mongoose that is being vigilant, a scout. Morning, impala. I was going to say, have you shaken your ram? But no, he's there in all his glory. And I know exactly what you ladies are thinking of. Right here. I'll better not go any more forward. I think they're edging closer and closer to this bush area on the edge of the open area. It'll probably get hot out here in the daytime, and it's safe enough for them to go into the denser tree line for the shade and for a different food source. Impala are quite broad, or their diet is quite a broad spectrum of diet, from leaves to grasses. They're not see, a lot of the herbivores are either grazers eating grass or browsers eating leaves, and there are not many animals that do both, that can adapt to changing conditions by changing their diet. The giraffe has become has adapted to and has become such a specialist browser that if there were no trees there would be no giraffe, because they couldn't really rely on grasses. Some bonding with this female and her little boy here, and an interesting action and interesting behavior. And you see quite a few of them will be doing it. Impala are these herd animals, so you'll find when most of them are eating, or all of them will be eating, but sometimes when there's stuff to be done, like grooming, you might find they're all doing it together. There were others, but now they've all gone back to eating. But it's allo grooming. It's sort of, you groom me, I'll groom you. This must be mother and son, I'm guessing. She licks him. Well, it's not really licking, it's combing. They're combing with their lower incisors. For such a dainty and delicate little antelope, the rams have got quite a rough noise about them. Quite a rough call. Their rutting call. Just for some reason, he just had it in for her, for some reason, and chased her. And I think looks like he's aiming at something behind us. He's constantly on the lookout for other rams that want to come and take over or steal some of his ewes. They're lower in sizes. Their teeth have got almost like grooves, like little ridges, almost like serrations. No, serrations is not the right word. Just grooves that help to comb through their own as well as their family members' fur or coat. An important area that needs to be kept clean is all around the neck and the head, and it is needed to have others do that for you, because the way that they feed, that is where a lot of the ticks will start, or a lot of parasites will get access to them behind the ears, in the neck. Grooming becomes essential. It's essential to the health of the herd, not only in its social bonding by the act of grooming, but by keeping everybody healthy. Looks like that little one sneezing. You must hear it. Well, as Selina asking the question, I think of what I've just been mentioning. Is it true that they have grooves in their teeth to help with the grooming, to help? Yes, indeed. It is true. Can we leave you in peace, Mr. Impala? Bye, Impala. And they all looked up when I started. So we're going to hand over to James now, because something might be happening back at the lion sighting. Bye, Impala. And I'll see you when I'm on my way to Arathusa. We'll see what happens after that.
Welcome back, everyone. You can see just in front of the vehicle there are 3 buffalo bulls, and as I said earlier, we had an experience of hearing those lions that we saw just now attacking some buffalo this morning, and given the area, it's quite likely that they were after these 3. It's also not surprising that they didn't catch them, because these are 3 old experienced Dugger boys, or mud boys as we call them here. So they're 3 buffalo bulls who've left the herd. Be very experienced, very, very powerful animals these, and without an adult male in that pride, they'd had a really difficult time catching them. So normally what would happen is that they'd be lying down like they are now, the 2 of them, but that 3rd one, as we arrived here, was snorting and very clearly distressed by something, and I suspect that has had quite a lot to do with the fact that they were being harassed by those lions in the misty pre-dawn light. You can see that old bull there scarred next to his eyes. He's been through many fights. You can see the way his horns have been worn away. Not an animal you want to tangle with if you have ill intent towards his person. You can see the horns in the back of that one there are the boss, which is that sort of helmeted part on the skull, has started to split apart slightly. You can see it's very worn from countless battles and where he's rubbed his head against branches and trees to mark territory and show dominance. great suggestion from Cam in Virginia to go and see if we could find the buffalo. Proved a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. So thanks for that, Cam. Great suggestion. Paul from Indiana would like to know, are there any tick-borne diseases in Africa? The answer, Paul, is yes, plenty. In this, we sort of have a blanket way of describing tick-borne diseases in this area, and we call it tick-bite fever. But there are variations of tick-bite fever, so in an area like this, if you get bitten once and you get sick, you'll normally be immune to it. But if you go to a new area and are bitten by a tick there, you'll also you'll get it again. The symptoms are not normally fatal. The disease just makes you feel like you've got a dreadful case of the flu. It's treated with antibiotics normally, and it's just very unpleasant, but not quite as bad as malaria, and certainly doesn't kill anything like the number of people that malaria does. So mosquitoes here are a much bigger danger to us. Tick-borne diseases in animals, the parasites that ticks introduce will cause biliary certainly in domestic animals. I think most of these sort of animals are, wild animals are fairly immune to the effects of ticks. But that said, they definitely, you can hear, I don't know how good the sound is at the moment, but just behind us we can hear a bird going psh, 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 and that is an oxpecker. And the oxpeckers are the birds that sit on animals like the buffalo and remove the ticks. And they have a very important role to play in disease prevention. They don't eat the ticks because they are very kind to buffalo, but mainly because they like the blood that the ticks have sucked out of their host species. You'll definitely find that there are lots of ticks on those buffalo now. You can see that he's not happy. There's a vehicle coming along the road, and this buffalo is unusually unrelaxed. The other two are far more sort of chilled out, but I suspect that they will meander down to the dam, which is just off to our left. You can see he's very unhappy. See the shake of the head there and the snorting. Gloria on Twitter was just commenting on the size of these animals. She says they're 1,800 to 2,000 pounds. Here in South Africa we've issued the imperial system along with the 20th century. And we are now, yes, a big buffalo bull will weigh up to 800 kilograms, which is enormous, which is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Gloria, about 2,000 pounds. And when you think about it, a black rhino, a small black rhino is about 1,000 kilograms, so 2,200 pounds, and that is. So you think about how big a black rhino looks compared with one of these animals. I mean, the buffalo is solid, powerful muscle. And then if you can still see him, there you can see him there. He's still very unhappy from his night of harassment from those lions. Khada, you've got a question about scarring on buffalo, and if the white spots that we can see are in fact white patches of hair or bare skin. They're actually bare skin. The hair doesn't grow back white. It often just, on the scars, it just doesn't grow back. So you're seeing there that sort of grey skin of the animal. Good morning, Diane in New York. Diane wants to know where the lions are in relation to these buffalo. As the proverbial crow flies, they're only about 300 or 400 meters in feet. That's about 1,200 feet, I suppose. So they're pretty close by. It's highly unlikely, of course, that the lions, as you saw them, will move from where they were to try and effect some kind of a hunt at this stage of the day. But it's certainly not impossible. We're going to probably leave these buffalo just now, but I just want to wait for that poor one. That Tula from Finland would like to know how fast these buffalo are, given their great strength. But how quick are they? Tula from Finland. The buffalo will look fairly ungainly, but compared with, say, humans, they are very fast indeed. So if you look at, let's take Usain Bolt, who on an average day will run the 100 meters in 10 seconds. He's running that at an average of 36 kilometers per hour. I think a buffalo would probably leave Usain Bolt, certainly maybe not off a standing start, but definitely off a running start, in the dust. They are not slow, and certainly there are no humans that could outrun them, but they're definitely not as fast as something like a lion. So they rely on their strength and their numbers. They'll only run as a panicked last resort from something like a lion. Normally they will turn to face them. Alright, we're going to move slowly on from these buffalo. I'm going to try and head off around to the right there. I don't want to get in between them and stress that one out even further than he is stressed already. So we're just going to head off around to the right like that, down onto the road, and then we'll see what else we can see. Okay. wait here for a little while and see what they do. See them sniffing the air there, just to see if they can pick up a scent. Their sense of smell is so important to them when ascertaining if there's danger. Certainly our human scent will be muffled by the smell of this vehicle and the fuel, but they'll pick up a whiff every so often, especially now you can see they've just turned to us. The wind has just come from behind us into their noses. So they'll smell first and then look. And we've just had a question from Shanae on Twitter, as I was sort of going through how important the sense of smell is. Shanae would like to know if they would smell the lions at a distance. At the current distance, I suspect they probably would pick up the odd scent if the wind was blowing directly from the lions, yes. Would it be very strong? Probably not very strong. Certainly you can imagine at night how important that sense of smell must be. Right, we're going to continue to try and maneuver around them. If you keep watching, we may just answer that question. Penny wants to know in Texas, was there any chance that a buffalo would charge the vehicle? It is possible. The buffalo's first resort is always going to be to run away. So as long as the animal isn't cornered or doesn't feel cornered, they will normally move away. I didn't mean to make them move like that, so I wasn't very sensitive. But the reason they wouldn't normally move at that sort of distance to the vehicle, but it's because they've been harassed and they've decided to. I've seen the buffalo charge a vehicle, but normally only when it's been cornered, and often when it's been cornered by private lines or something like that, then they will bump a vehicle if they feel threatened. Starting to flatten as the sun climbs into the sky, and the winter colours of the low felt coming through. The trees that you can see as we're driving along seem to be losing their colour, mainly the dominant tree here called the red bush willow or Combretum aficulatum, and they're the trees that are starting to go yellow. We don't get those great swathes of red like you do in the northern hemisphere here in autumn. We normally just get the leaves will turn, some leaves will turn red, but mostly they just go yellow and drop off the trees. I'm a huge fan of rhino, and I'm also a huge fan of wild dogs like Brent. But I enjoy most of the animals out here. I don't necessarily have a favourite. I also enjoy elephants very much, like Marc does. Over here, it's also one of the combretums or bush willows, and it's already lost its leaves. This is a large fruited bush willow. You can see it's got much bigger fruits. The fruits are four-winged. See the four beautiful wings there, really nice in this morning light. Heard enough from me for the next little while. Marc is exploring on Arethusa, and so we're going to cross over to him.
Well. It seems that this is where the elephants have been, the ones that must have been at the dam. There's a lot of branches that have been broken. Here's some fresh dung, but they've already come through here. And very hard ground to find tracks. See whether this is on the way to the dam or on the way back. Investigate a little bit further. Welcome back to the Jigger, by the way. We're on Arethusa and trying to find signs of a herd of elephants that were at Arethusa Dam some time ago, so they have moved off from there. And now it could be anywhere. I believe there was a bit of an exciting moment with the lion making a play for a buffalo, and it's quite interesting. I suppose fortunate for some that they didn't have any success, because some people don't like to see these things. Sorry, just listening to something. Hello, Gloria. Gloria wants to know if we get meerkats in this area. No, we don't, Gloria. meerkats, meaning the surrogates, they're only pairs the A's. They only... Here's a nice herd of elephants. Also fairly thick bush, but maybe we'll be able to see them. Finally caught up with them. These must be the herd that was at through the dam, or some of them. There's a little calf running up to its sister. Morning, Ellies. Can we come and visit? Please. Gloria meerkats or surrogates only occur in the drier western areas of southern Africa. Central and west, I think there, Kalahari, Karoo, going down into close to the sort of Eastern Cape part of the Karoo, but not in this northeastern part of the country. We don't get surrogates here. Okay, these ellies are moving steadily in a northerly direction, so hopefully we might be able to find them coming through here somewhere. it needs to decompose a lot first. It would probably be good to put in a compost heap to help compost, to help promote compost in a normal compost heap, so that a lot of those the tannins and things can leach out of it and it can be broken down better. But it's, as it is, when it comes out of an elephant, it's still 70 to 75% of what went in. Good morning, madam and madam. Two lady Ellies with their babies. Hello. Pretty little child. See if we can go a little bit forward, because those youngsters are playing on an old, it could be an old knobthorn that died a long time ago. The other family groups coming up behind us. It'd be nice if I can turn around and see from the other side, from the eastern side, because it's getting quite bright now. Sorry, madam. I think I'm revving my engine at her, and I'm not. I'm just want to. Sorry, Liam, I know it's not ideal. So I just want to turn around while this other family comes out. And even more family groups coming out behind this one that's just crossed the road. So I think that we sit here quietly. I didn't even start counting. Sometimes my brain doesn't think in counting terms, but both females that we first saw, I think they've each got 2 calves. This cow looks like she's got, how many came across with her? 3?
Don't know, didn't count.
Yeah. 4 of them that came across now the road. That's 10 altogether already. Plus another family group I can see in the background. Way down the road, there's another this old mud pan that is here that they're probably going to be feeding around. We're going to have a look. Known as Matandaluka pan. The young bull walking any Arathusa station, copy. Half of the herd is now to the left. They seem to have calmed down finally. This is the first family group that we saw was actually now at the end of the train. I think this is the last one coming across now. Mrs. Ellie.
Yeah, come in. Yeah, sorry, what?
Channel,
nothing. Okay. Nkuhumas are near Gary Dam.
Okay, I'll be there this afternoon.
Okay. Anything here?
There were dogs at our Marty.
Okay.
They went into Shirley.
Anything on this Ngalam Konzo that's here?
That's the Nkuhumas from yesterday.
Really? They came over here?
Yeah, they were at EP Open.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ridiculous. There was horseshoe, everything. Like, you can't believe where they walked yesterday. It was outrageous.
And there was Ingwem Konzo on parallel.
I'm not sure.
I saw that coming across to find them, yeah.
Any shadow then?
And male going out towards Triple M on Zebra.
Ah, cool.
You want to go past?
We are on our way to something.
Okay. Cheers, Sean. Sorry about that, folks. Just had to have an update from one of the Arathusa guys. They just don't have any radio comms at the moment. Oh, look, there's a giraffe with the Ellies. It's just an update also that you can send questions into questions at wildearth.tv or send a tweet, #SafariLive, if you would like. Interesting news that the wild dog came through here this morning by the sounds of things. Just touching past Arathusa Dam. Okay, sorry, Mr. Giraffe. I'm sorry, dude. You can calm down. I won't invade your safety space anymore. Very hot now, all of a sudden. Big male giraffe is very dark. Haven't seen a big bull for a while. And now the Ellies have all moved off sort of to the northwest all of a sudden. They were heading northeast and now they're from the dam. They're kind of zigzagging, I guess. Heading a little bit northwest now. he's just going to stand and look at us, watching you, Mr. G. Gosh, he's a big boy. Very dark. I think I said that already. Looking off to where the elephants have gone. As you noticed, as I arrived, I got to a point where he felt uncomfortable with me coming closer, so I stopped, and as soon as I stopped, he stopped, and he's turned around, and he's established this as his comfort zone. And he can come closer to me. I think if I tried to go closer to him once again, he'd probably turn around and also walk a few feet back. But his world has just been invaded by a herd of elephants and a couple of vehicles. Look at him, such a magnificent boy. Wow. Let me move down the road a little bit. So I knew that there were wild dogs that passed through the corner of Arathusa briefly and have headed south. And the lion tracks that I've just seen now were actually the Nkuhumas that were all this way on Arathusa. We're right in the middle of Arathusa. They even got to Elephant Plains open area. Hello, Mr. Giraffe. I'd like to stay with you, but you're heading deeper in. Let's decide to stop again. See if I can get a nice gap between the trees to look at him full height. Like that. Find lion on those lion tracks because they are far away at the moment over the Gari. I wonder why their tracks seem to be coming up from Philemon's Dip, because I would have thought they'd be in the north. I thought last time we heard where the Nkuhumas was on Torchwood of all places. Now they would have had to skirt the whole of Gari to come to be here yesterday and then to go back to Gari. Gosh, it's like a very big loop. on a trajectory that's bringing them closer to us. So we will get to see them again. In a minute or so, getting to be nice and open there too. A little bit further. My favourite pastimes, if not my best. Just sitting with an entire herd of elephant walking by. Oops. street wants to know if vultures raise their young. You know what? Vultures are here for a reason. And I've just found the reason. And the reason is a dead animal. It's weird that they are. Impala stashed away here. I'm just going to go. Now, I've been looking at the vultures and I've been looking at the elephants, and not on the ground, because there could have been a predator here that might have just left this off this impala. I need to have a closer look from this angle. Very young impala, and looks like it's got a claw mark on the rump. Ordinarily, I would investigate a bit further, go and see if I could find, but I'm not going to interfere right now. Predator, sure, leopard is most likely a leopard. Any other predator would not have left it. The fact that the vultures weren't on the ground tells me that the predator might be around here somewhere, the leopard. If it was a cheetah, it's a pretty hard terrain for a cheetah to hunt here. But if a cheetah has just killed it and it was chased off or it got frightened, the cheetah would probably be eating on it already. Branch in the road. Probably something we need to come back to tonight. If I can get a message to Arathusa guides, I can get them to come and check on it as well. But for now, I'm just going to let the elephants go where they are going. I want to have a tracks on the road. Excuse me. Coming in. Okay, copy. I'm going to do some investigating while I'm here. I need to pick a branch, put a branch in the road as a marker for the Arathusa guys. I'm going to use the guarri bush. We use the guarri bush because it's probably the least likely plant to be left by the likes of an elephant or any other animal. So guarri branch is usually the best kind of branch to leave in the road. Guarri or silver cluster leaf. And there are no leopard tracks here. So while I'm doing things like this, let's send you back to Juma and join James and Wendy, and I'll catch up with you in a little while. I'll see you in a short time. We're just going back to
towards the lions now. Welcome back. We've been exploring around. The heat has built. As you can see, I'm no longer wearing my thick jersey. And we're just going to go and see if those lions have done anything else. It's highly unlikely, but we'll have a look. Just see them up in front of us there. The danger, of course, in this kind of heat is that you'll run one of them over because they don't want to move. There they are. I'm just going to go around to the other side. You might get a better view of them. There's a nice view of the male. Stop here for a little while. The male and this female seem to have some sort of a bond. They've been together the whole morning. But that's not to say that it's necessarily permanent. You can see now we had that question earlier about whether they were lying together for warmth or for sociability, and I said as the heat builds they may split apart a bit, and you can see the pride has fragmented a little. Very soporific atmosphere that's starting to build now. She's eating grass there, which is quite unusual. And as you probably know from your domestic animals, carnivores often eat sort of fibrous material just to line their guts because they don't have much fibre in the diet, obviously. We also noticed as we came back in here that the number of flies seems to have built to a fairly astonishing level, to the extent that Brian and I are being savaged, and I'm sure that's because the heat's built. As we head into midwinter, we've had a few questions from Finland, Niagara Falls, New York, Maine. I mean, your midwinter, you certainly wouldn't be sitting out in your shirt sleeves like Brian and I are right now. You probably also wouldn't be looking at lions. Try and sneak around the side there and see if we can't get a nice view of that female eating her grass, grazing away. She's laying down now. Gerda on Twitter. She's just given us an update that these lions ate a juvenile hippo last week. Yes, they certainly haven't been eating a hippo this week, given the look of them. And that's very interesting that a pride of lions would do that, especially in this area where smaller prey items are available. So that's very interesting. Thanks, Gerda. If you compare those little feet sticking in the air there with the feet on your domestic cat, you'll see that the design is almost identical, just a miniature version. Ears constantly twitching, fighting away the flies. This animal is quite restless for some reason. It's coming over to say hi. Just reaffirming those social bonds, just a touch here and a touch there. Well, this will be good. Strength in her her shoulders there. Flop. Oh, male is now itchy, having a little scratch. There he is. And unfortunately, the exertions of scratching have anaesthetized him to further slumbers. You can see his little pink nose there. It'll start to go black now. By the time he's 6, will be almost entirely black. I'm not sure if you can feel this through the streaming internet where you all sit, but the atmosphere here has just turned into a very sleepy one from this morning. Karina Cook would like to know, do lions have dew claws like domestic cats? Karina, lions absolutely have dew claws, and they're very crucial in the hunting process. And they're often the claw that stays the sharpest because it doesn't come into too much contact with the ground. And we'll try and zoom in on the dew claw, but you'll see it there. You can actually see it there on the you can see it on that. The right hind or the right front foot there that's lying on the ground there, on the inside behind the pad, you can see a dark spot, and I think that's from where I'm sitting, that's probably where the dew claw is sheathed. Very sharp and very important during the hunting. see that little dark spot on the inside of the right front. Or was it her right? I'm getting confused here. Yes, it would be her right. On her left front. On her left front. It's where the thumb would be. Rena, I hope that answers your question in a roundabout and convoluted way. Yes, they have dew claws. You can hear from where you're sitting, but all around me the birds of the middle of the day are starting to call. Rattling cisticola, chin spot batis going. You can hear the fork-tailed drongos going, Cape glossy starlings. Cisticolas, there's a little group of them coming closer because they've seen these lions, so they're now alarming. Psh, 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 psh. Chin spot batis sitting in the tree. Right, we're going to cross over to Marc, just so that we can see what he's doing, and then we'll come back and say a final goodbye to this pride of sleep lions. Crossing to you, Marc.
Welcome back. I couldn't resist. I went back to have a look at that carcass. Doesn't seem to have been killed by a predator. There are 2 gashes on the rump, and Veer made a very interesting observation that it was perhaps the vultures that had started tearing at the skin. So I don't think it's a predator, but we might come back later. But for now, we're going to be going back to the lion until the end of drive. So I'm going to say thank you from my end. Thank you for being here with us this morning. To VM for camera work, my name is Marc, and I'll see you this afternoon about 3 o'clock Central African time when we continue our journey through the Sabi Sand Game Reserve.
Welcome back. We're just looking in the front of the car there. There's a beautiful blue colour of a Cape glossy starling. You can see its orange eye. Very easily confused in this area with something called a greater blue-eared glossy starling, but I've heard this one calling, so I know what it is. You can hear them calling just around. It's a very soft sort of call. That wasn't a very good impression. It doesn't actually sound like that at all. You can hear in the background a white-browed scrub robin going. Oh, and there was even a fish eagle going in the background there. The somewhat cliched sound of Africa, but still nice to hear. Donna seems to think that Brent is going to have some competition on the sound mimicry front of things from me. Well, thank you, Donna, that's very kind. It remains to be seen, I think. Starting in front if you wanted. We've had a question from Dance Anyway about a possible wound on one of the lions. I can see what she means on the lioness here in front of us. And a question related to whether it could be a TB lump that is draining. Dance Anyway, I couldn't answer that question. Safe to say that I've never seen a TB lump draining before. It's quite possible that that wound has been irritated by something, or that she spiked it on a thorn or something like that. I don't think it's possible to say at this distance whether it's TB or not, and whether that's a draining TB elbow. I'm not sure. You can see the flies are having a field day there, though. It's possible that if it is a TB elbow and it's bugged her, she may well have, bitten it and sort of injured it herself. A question from Wisconsin about why domestic cats have got slit pupils and these bigger cats seem to have round ones. And the answer to that is I have absolutely no idea, but I will make an attempt to find out and try and get back to you on the next drive. Sorry about that. Very interesting question. It must have something to do with the amount of light that is required and the environment in which they evolved. Ellen, my guess would be no, lions wouldn't eat grass for hunger, mainly because they don't have a digestive system that can extract nutrients from it. So, for example, if you were starving to death in an area like we're sitting right now, if you were to eat leaves, for example, your body would reject them. You would vomit, or your body would expel them in some way, because you don't have the digestive enzymes or digestive tract to handle that sort of nutrition. So a lion will probably eat grass, as I said, just for the fiber, not to try and extract some form of nutrition from it. They just simply don't have the gut biota or gut enzymes to be able to do that. So we're going to wrap up now. It's been a very fantastic morning with you all. I'm not sure how many of you there have been, but possibly millions, possibly 10 or 12. Hopefully a few more than that. Thanks for putting up with me on my first drive. My name is James Hendry. That's Hendry, Scottish versus English. And I've been in the bush for about 10 years, in and around this area, mainly working as a ranger and also with the local people around the game reserves, and that's been my speciality. So it's the first time I've been back in the hot seat, as it were, for a little while, and what a great way to start off. And thank you all for your welcomes. I believe there have been some kind words on Twitter, and thank you for your questions, which have been very interesting. I suspect these lions are going to spend the rest of the day doing precisely what they're doing now, and while not in the same place, I might go and do the same sort of thing after a healthy and hearty breakfast. Thanks to Brian and the control team, and Marc and Leon, wherever they are, exploring in this magnificent wilderness. And we will see you later in the afternoon from the 3.5 million hectares that is the Greater Kruger National Park. Have a great day.